and share. And so we're going to watch the movie Jobs this week. So we're going to watch a portion of it today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, and then there's kind of a longer assignment due on Friday. And so the reason why we're watching it is it's about Steve Jobs. It's played by Ashton Kutcher, and so he was the person that founded Apple. And so obviously a really important company in our in our world today. And you think about everything that we do with iPhones and watches and computers and things like that. It's a big deal. So you're going to get kind of the origin story of how the company started, which was basically in the garage of his house, and then kind of where they went from there. And we're going to focus on, with this Class Connect, we're going to focus on a commercial that Steve Jobs really kind of spearheaded. And it came out in 1984, right at the same time that they were making a movement to try to promote their personal computers. And so the Macintosh computer was the first like personal computer, so people could buy them for their houses. At that time, it's hard to even imagine, but mostly computers were so expensive that they really only were used by companies in the military and things like that. So sorry, just gonna admit someone else. So when the ad came out in 1984, they were promoting this this personal computer, and it aired during the Super Bowl. So it was one of the first kind of major commercials. It was a 60-second ad, which was very rare at the time, and they hired basically Hollywood producers and actors to make it, which was kind of the first time that had ever been done. But it really was a landmark commercial, and because of how it was kind of produced and created, and then the success that it had for Macintosh. So just some facts about it. It aired during the third quarter on January 22nd, 1984. So right at the beginning of 1984, during the Super Bowl. It's based on the book 1984 by Orson Welles, which, if you haven't read it before, it's about people kind of being brainwashed by this large screen. And so if you don't fully understand kind of the messaging behind the commercial, there's this large screen kind of in the background, and there's all these people sitting in rows, and they're just kind of being brainwashed by it. And then this woman in a white top and red shorts comes with this hammer, and she's the only thing in the ad that has color. And so she is meant to signify Apple, this Macintosh, and the screen is meant to signify IBM, which is the main competitor of Apple at the time. And so she runs in there and she throws this hammer, and it smashes the screen. And then there's some text at the end saying 1984 is not going to be like 1984, the book or the movie, because Macintosh is coming. And so kind of a earth-shattering moment in Super Bowl commercials and also in advertising. It was a huge success. There were like $3.5 million worth of Macintosh sold right after the advertisement ran. And then it really changed kind of Super Bowl commercials in the future. So some interesting things, and you're going to learn this when you watch the movie this week. Steve Jobs obviously was brilliant, started the commercial, started the company, did the commercial. The people at Macintosh, his people around, his superiors and the board and things like that, thought the commercial was terrible, and they thought it was a waste of money, and they wanted to sell the Super Bowl ads. But he was very steadfast that this was going to be great, and he was right. Not long after that, he was removed from Apple. I think a lot of people don't know that, but he kind of started his own company because he didn't like people at Apple. And so he left for a number of years, maybe 10 years, and then he came back, and then Apple had this huge growth again with him, with personal computers, eventually the iPhones and watches and everything else. So you're going to get kind of that story. He don't want to ruin the movie for you, but if you know the story, he died of cancer, but kind of worked up until the point that he died. So pretty interesting guy, obviously very talented. So here is the ad. I'll let you guys watch the advertisement. And then
today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the information purification directives. We have created for the first time in all history a garden of pure ideology where each worker may bloom, secure secure from the pests of a contradictory thoughts. Unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
So I don't know if you recognize that or not, but again, it's a really famous advertisement. And there's been a bunch of parodies off it. If you guys have seen Inside Out 2, but they kind of make a little parody of that commercial, which again aired in 1984 to introduce the Macintosh personal computer and really launched Apple into the stratosphere. Again, they eventually basically, drowned out IBM completely, and it became kind of the main company producing computers. So here is your assignment. Number 1 says, explain what is happening in the Apple 1984 commercial. What is the message? So I've kind of gone over that. And then number 2, why is the 1984 Macintosh commercial considered one of the greatest commercials of all time? Again, I talked about that as well. So those are the 2 pieces that I want you to do for your assignment. And again, hope you enjoy watching Jobs this week and getting to understand a little bit more about Steve Jobs and why he was so good at what he did with marketing. That's the big thing with Apple, is they kind of created, you guys have heard about, target markets and segmentation and creating a niche. And they created this idea that computers are sleek and beautiful, and they're more expensive. And that was really kind of their spot. And they've kind of stayed in that spot with their phones and watches and everything else. And a lot of that comes from Steve Jobs and his ability to market his product. So that's what we're focusing on this week. Any questions, you guys? Give me a thumbs up so you understand what's going on. All right, you guys, good to see you. Have a great week. Take care.